Why, hello, everybody. It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Veve Omi update video. It's going to be a podcast about a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to be interviewing Sean from Comics and Crypto. It's going to be great. I'm going to be buying a little bit of Omi. I might do that on another video / live stream, but I'm super excited. I've met him a whole bunch of times. You know him as Comics and Crypto. You know the whole jam that y'all are used to. If you haven't, totally go subscribe. Is Most of the time I'll say, hey, I don't know anything about this comic. Go ask Sleeping Comics or go ask Comics and Crypto. Usually my go-to guys if I don't understand. So without further ado, let's get this bread.
What's up? Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Randy?
Not much. We were just, singing your good praises, saying that you are a absolute wealth of knowledge. And I go to you for stuff that I do not understand. So we'll do. You had me thinking because I don't normally ever like prepare these things, and you got me thinking. So I wanted to know about what makes Sean, like what makes you. I don't know if you heard that.
I was actually connecting my AirPods. Right. I was connected. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you good? Can you hear me?
Okay, we're good now. Okay. Sorry, man. I was scrambling. I was trying to get a better audio mic. But yeah,
no, you're good.
We're doing a bit of remodeling in the office area, so sorry about that, Randy. What was your question?
I understand, 100%. I like on my old streams at my old place. My landlord used to come in. He used to it was wild. Anyway, I never prepare for these. These are something that I just usually just go and we talk on. But you said like, oh hey, what stuff do you want to talk about? I was like, oh god, I don't know, man. So we started talking, and that made me think like the way your mind works, and how you view the world. And I want to get into that a little bit before we get into the rest of the stuff, because I got you for an hour and a half. What makes Sean, and how has that changed over the last 10 or 20 years?
Wow, that's a really deep question, Randy. That's number one. I wasn't ready for this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need a drink first?
Yeah, it's interesting looking at Sean over the past 10 to 20 years. Wow, that's a lot of deep reflection that I'll need to do during meditation, which I've been doing a lot lately, which has been great.
Oh, good.
By the way, yeah,
it's been
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me that I've come to realize about myself is how much I love people, and how much the collectible space is something that I've really been involved in for quite some time. And even when I was a young kid, I was obsessed with it. I loved it so much. And I didn't realize as a young kid, I was speculating and investing in sports cards without even really realizing it. I just loved doing it. And I kind of learned about it myself. And then I wanted to tell my friends about it. I wanted them to learn and I wanted them to be successful. And that's what was really important to me. And when I started the Comics Crypto podcast with Kevin and Spencer, that love for collecting and investing in collectibles reemerged through comic books. Yeah. And now it's trickled into other things, including Veve, including other sealed collectibles like VHS market, which we'll get into, and the video game market, and a lot of things. So I've been collecting more now than ever since my reignited passion for comic books and Veve, and now this stuff too. But the most important thing is just trying to help people be as successful as possible. And then, hopefully becoming friends along the way.
Yeah. It's been so much fun meeting you. It's been so much fun having multiple occasions, just looking at your face. Be like, dude, it's real.
I love hanging out with you. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's a great time. So there was a 4chan post that made me realize that collecting is definitely in a lot of us, and I feel like not a lot of people really understand it or know it. Or maybe it's just in a small minority, and a small minority are really loud. It was about this kid that, for whatever reason, always wanted to take the erasers off of his pencils, and he kept the erasers in his desk. So, a few months into the school year, someone comments like, "Wow, you got a lot of erasers in there." I was like, "Yeah, I do." So then he goes and takes some of his lunch money and he buys other erasers, and he just there was no rhyme or reason for it. It was just somebody commented on it oh yeah, this is a really good thing about me. So have you ever leaned into certain things that maybe don't make as much economic sense and maybe you just do something because this is silly, and you want to be known for
that. Huh, man, it's interesting because a lot of the things that I'm really obsessed with as a collector really are tied to pop culture.
Yeah.
So are they worth absolutely nothing? I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, my brother, he loves to collect rocks. We'll go
Nice.
we'll go to the beach and he'll collect rocks, and he just loves the way some rocks look. And he's a geology major. And are these worth
Okay.
anything? No, but they mean something to him. So I've
Yeah.
definitely been involved in that. I've helped him find some on the beach and stuff, and it's been fun. But I definitely have some collectibles that I don't even know if they're worth much or they're going to be worth anything. I just know they have a lot of nostalgia for me, a lot of personal connection. So
Does,
to a degree.
Does your brother? I assume, does he like penguins? And I promise there's a reason like I'm asking this.
It's so ironic. Actually, no, I think he likes penguins, but I actually, that's my favorite animal is penguins.
Oh, so like, I'm sure you've talked about this with him before. With hey, how penguins pick their mates, and they go and the male penguins find this super shiny rock, and then they give it to the female penguin, and if she accepts it, then
that's a good connection.
That's why I was like, oh, maybe he likes penguins. Like maybe like I don't know, like if he ever sees like a penguin and this penguin is so interested in a rock, it's like, oh, I feel you, brother. Same.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that's deep down inside that's definitely a connection there with him.
I felt that before, where like I've seen memes of these people going and they bring like a Domino's box, like it's clearly a pizza box, and dogs know pizza boxes, and the person sits down and the dog's like all happy, and then the person opens the box and it's just salad in there, and the dog's like, it's like, I feel you, man. I feel you so much on
that. That's hilarious.
So you said you wanted to get a lot of friends into this over the years, and obviously you've met a bunch of friends along the way. Have any of those two worlds met? Friends from when you were younger to the friends that you've made over the last like 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, friends that actually I've rekindled friendships because of Veve. So one of a good friends, Will with the NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
He did a song called the Veve Anthem. Really awesome guy in the community. Yeah. Yeah. He also did the closing and I think opening song for Lori for Queen Veve.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah, man, so that's Will. Friends. Yeah. He collaborated on an awesome song that he co-wrote, and we went to high school together. So him and Nate.
Oh, dope.
Nate, Nate. We went to high school together, and we kind of knew each other in high school. We hung out a little bit, but when I started posting about Veve, he said, "Yo, dude, Veve, man, you're into it?" I said, "Yeah." And then we started a group chat with me and my family and friends, and then now that's history. I mean, now we're super close, and now he's taught me a lot. Well, so I didn't really know much about the sports card market, and something I've been diving into again recently. It's changed completely since I grew up.
Yeah,
since the 90s. That was my life. Yeah, since the 90s, but it's changed completely. And I've learned a lot from him. He's really into investing in sports cards. And the past few weeks actually I've been kind of flipping a little bit. Yeah, on sports cards. It's been kind of wild. But yeah, definitely rekindled some friendships and also just made new friends. And like for example, like Danny, a good friend, Danny BR. I went to his wedding. I think
I saw pictures of that. Yeah.
Looking
all schmexy in your tuxedos.
Yeah. Danny and his now wife Olivia. Big shout to Olivia. Amazing people, amazing family. And I met them, and I went to their wedding because of Veve. I'd never met him before in person.
Oh, really?
He invited me to his wedding. Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. I'm in." Yeah.
I thought you had a really good time at that wedding.
It was awesome. Yeah. We'll talk more about it in the backstage.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great time, man. It was so good. Yeah, and there's amazing people. We hung out for a few days, and just the best.
Well, you wound up staying in that area for a while, right?
Yeah, for about a week. My good friend Joe Frio from Philadelphia. He just beat my 49ers. So sing a little bit. Yeah. Joe's from Philly, and we went out there and had a great time. It was incredible.
Yeah. So as Omar, my man's, he He's a cool dude. He keeps me updated on stuff where I'm streaming or whatever. He'll be listening to a space, and then he'll comment down below. Alex just said this in space. He's like, "Oh, good job, Omar." That's
Stay on top of it. What a homie.
yeah, dude, he's so chill. I love him. Our lives have really weird parallels. Like we were both dating older women at the same time. Like we're both brown, and we're both like we're both like a very similar age, like down to like the week or something. Yeah, it's a cool dude. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had like a subscriber or anyone that you just met and it's like, hey, we're alike in a lot of ways, and then you go into it like, wow, we really are, or have you not had
Totally.
that yet? Yeah,
Yeah, totally. And I've become really close friends with them because
yeah,
of it. Now it's pretty awesome. It's really
yeah.
awesome.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
I've had
So
I'm sure you met.
sounds like for you too. Yeah.
Did you meet Jason? This guy,
Uh,
Jason Lawrence.
I believe I'm trying to see.
He was at
He's
him and a bunch of
familiar.
firefighters at Decon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's Jason.
they dressed Taps up in like a firefighter's outfit. That was
Oh
fun.
yeah. Jason. Is he down south in California?
Yeah,
Does he
yeah,
live down south?
yeah.
Yeah, I did meet Jason. What's up,
He's
bud? It
with the
was
Los
great meeting
Angeles
you.
Fire Department. I have his
Yes,
shirt
it was
over
great.
there.
It's awesome. I think there was a couple of his brothers there too. I think.
Yeah,
What's
there's a
up,
bunch of
Bill?
those guys. Yeah. I,
This is fun,
so
man. I don't do live streams. This is great, Randy.
oh yeah,
This is fun, man.
these
Yeah,
are so exciting. I
let's start doing
like live
these.
streams are like the comments just are sometimes out of nowhere are wild. They're so fun. Um, the like there was like the other week or like a few days ago, one of my housemates like going like to her room and she like coughed and you know Wes, right? Wes, the a tall guy. So he comments like he hears her. He's like, man, she still has that cough. She's been sick for like a month. And I was like, how do you hear that? And I don't know. I showed her and she's like, your subscribers know my sickness. I was like, yeah, like they hear you.
They're concerned.
So
They care.
so that was fun. Back to your baseball thing. I'd gone to a friend's house a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, I want to know like the value of some of these baseball cards." Like, well, my eBay foo is pretty good, and I could try to figure it out. And he had tons of baseball cards, and I downloaded this app called Colex. It's like collection, but with an X. And after spending like I think almost a full day on doing all these cards, most of them from the '80s, I finally call a place like, "Hey, I have a bunch of these cards. The estimated value." They're like, yeah, we don't buy anything from the '80s, and neither do any of the sports card dealers around town. I was like, oh, well, that was that was a wasted day. When you go and you got into the baseball cards, what did you find success in? Was it more stuff like in the recent stuff in the last 20 years, or was it like pre '80s, like '60s and '70s?
So back when I was younger collecting, or now?
Now, because I know you said it changed
Oh,
a lot, but yeah, I
yeah,
meant now.
yeah. There's definitely a lot of cards from the '90s that are they're doing pretty well, but it's mostly there's a lot of modern cards that are crushing it,
Yeah.
and these cards are coming from packs that are cost about $10,000 to $20,000 each. 10 to
Were they
20,000.
just which packs were they? Were they Fleer? Were they
So
Upper
the
Deck?
brand's called Panini, and
Okay.
one of the most expensive are let's see, I think Flawless is probably up there. And I
Yeah.
think I'm not sure exactly which pack it was from. I think it was Flawless. I think it was Flawless, but there was a LeBron James triple logo card. So
Mhm.
back in the late '90s, they used to start taking pieces of jerseys and putting them on cards. They started doing that, and I think it was in '98, '99 with Upper Deck. And
Yeah.
now it's become a common thing. And this specific card was LeBron James. But what's special about this card is that it had so on every NBA jersey, they have one NBA logo on the jersey.
Yeah.
And it has three logos from three different jerseys from LeBron James in the NBA Finals. From from his early career, when he was on the Heat, and when he won the NBA Finals later in life. So this is a one of one card. People were going crazy trying to find this card, and imagine spending $10,000 to $20,000
Just
per
for a
pack
chance to. Oh my
just
god.
for a chance to get it. Like I think Drake and Ken Golden of Golden Auctions, they did a video covering. Yeah, Drake actually spent like I think over $225,000 or $250,000 trying to find. Yeah, and it was these kids and this Instagram account called Backyard Breaks, and they open packs. That's what their content is, just opening packs and showing the cards they get. And they opened the card and they got it. And that card at the time was estimated to be worth $5 million. Can you imagine pulling a card that's worth $5 million? They ended up getting it and they sold it on golden auctions for, I think, just over two.
Did they grade it first, or did they say, nah, we want the money now?
So this card, it comes in a silver brief. So these packs, these flawless packs, come in a silver case, and there's one card inside it, and it's already in a case, hard case.
Oh, okay.
So it's already it's a 1 of 1. There's only one of them. So you can get it graded, but the point of grading is differentiating value between the same total editions. So 1 of 1, they still get them graded, but just having the 1 of 1 is the sticker.
Oh, that's insane.
It's wild.
So
it's wild.
So we have gone on, I plan to talk about a lot of stuff like physical, digital. How do you feel so far about the relationship between physical and digital? Do you think physical is getting disrupted, or do you think they're kind of getting like married and they're like changing together as things go forward?
I'm just as excited for the physical as I am the digital market. And I think especially like Veve is a wonderful case study, because you have these comic books. A lot of them are massive grails. Like I think I sent you a list earlier of my, oh God. Go Eagles. Thanks, Randy. Now I lost my thought. No, best of luck. Best of luck next Sunday.
Okay, so you sent me a bunch of
So I had the top 13 physical Marvel Comics rankings.
Yeah.
And as of right now, there's 8 out of the 13 are currently on Veve. There's still 5 missing. And one of the biggest ones that I'm excited is Captain America Comics #1. That one's, that's in its highest grade. There's less than 200 total editions graded on the CGC census, less than 200.
Yeah.
And there's only one 9.8, which is crazy. There's not even a 9.8 of Journey to Mystery 83, FA Thor. There's no 9.8 in existence. And there's one 9.8 of this comic, and I think that could exceed $10 million. It's very possible.
So obviously it's 101 because it's a 9.8, but how many of them are 9.6s, 9.4s, and 9.2s?
I think there's maybe 194, and I think that may have sold recently for a couple million. I need to double check my numbers. Don't hold me to those. But there was a recent sale that exceeded like $1 million or $2 million.
But anything a 9 or above, there's like 5 of like total or 6 of total, give or take.
It fluctuates. The highest Marvel Comics 1 is a 9.4. But there's only 64 copies on the CGC census.
Oh, I meant for this particular one.
Oh yeah. There's like maybe 3 or 4, maybe above. Yeah, somewhere around there.
I'm guessing most of them are probably like lower grade because they've been around for 70 years.
Yeah, the Golden Age comics, the ones from the 40s and basically the 40s, those are. It's really hard to, almost next to impossible to find as a 9.8. It's really impossible. Even Fantastic Four 1, there's only 2 9.6s. There's no 9.8s. So having a 9.8,
it's impossible to get.
That was 61, and they made for Marvel Comics #1, that was in the 39. Yeah, 39.
Yeah, I think so.
There was over 1 million. There's over 1 million copies that were produced of that comic. There's probably less than 100 today that are left over. It's crazy.
Oh my God, that's insane.
But that's what. So that's a cool. Yeah.
Oh no, go.
I was just gonna say that's the cool thing about Veve, right? Because the comic NFTs, the digital counterparts, they encapsulate Marvel Comics 1's legacy. It's always going to be forever. Everyone forever will have a chance to own that comic now on the blockchain. If those 64 copies, something happens to them, this comic isn't going to disappear. It's going to be around.
That's a good
forever.
point. Oh, I never thought of that like that. Like if the other ones get destroyed, and that's like, I think it was Fahrenheit, or the movie version of Fahrenheit 451, where they were burning all the books because evil government. So people were memorizing the books so that even if all the versions of those books were destroyed, they live on, like they could memorize it. Like, oh, that's cool.
That's a good point.
Do you think that some people, like you said, that list, there's 8 out of the 13 or 9 out of 13 like top grails that Veve has? Do you think that some people coming in, especially from the comic background, would say, well, most of the grails are kind of done, like they come in the next year and Veve has done all of them, do you think that would dissuade people from participating, or
No,
are they still coming anyway?
there's still a lot of really big comics to come,
Yeah.
and even if all the grails are here, it just gives people an opportunity, the early adopters, a chance to invest in these things, or to collect them, whatever they're trying to do, at a reasonable price. Because in my opinion, and not financial advice, but I think these things are very reasonable considering, where
Yeah.
we think this is all going.
What's your opinion on the fact that it's inverted between the physical statues value on Veve and the comic value? And what I mean by that is like the Todd Batman is like $300 or $400 in a statue, but it had reached up to like $14,000 in this digital version, whereas the comic book value is so much less than the actual comic book value. Do you think that reverses at some point, or do you just think the gap closes a little bit?
I don't think there's a way of really making an easy comparison, but I will say that like the FA Batman on Veve is special. We all know it's special because it has so many firsts within that NFT alone. First DC comic drop, first Prince Batman, first Veve collectible minted. There's a lot of historical and pop culture value connected to that. The physical doesn't really have that. So that's why the digital is worth so much more. And I think it's around this. I think there's more editions. There's more editions, I think, on the digital side, but it doesn't matter. But for the physical, for the comic books, these comics, they've been around there's a lot more, but they've been around a lot longer, of course. And I don't think there's a competition between the two. Same with the physical statues. They'll do well because people get excited about the digital, but the comic books, especially, Sleepin, I think Sleepin said it best. This is an opportunity to invest in the original IP. But what's super special about these digital comic books is that they're the accessibility, being able to buy, sell, and trade these instantly around the world. And that's something that a lot of people who haven't really bought and sold comic books, they don't really understand, is how difficult it is to send comic books and how scary it is. Sending $100,000, $200,000 comic book across the country, even across the world, is scary. It's a very scary thing. Because
at that point, I would just drive. I would maybe fly if I could.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But to take that even further, even aside from that, I have friends in certain parts of the world that have corrupt mailing systems, and I can't mail them anything. I tried. From collectible stuff, there's certain parts of the country, in different parts of the world. Yeah, I had to say, I bought something for them. It was like a piece of clothing. It was from a clothing brand for his girlfriend, and I had to send it through a certain company, and it had to pay a certain amount. It was a process. But I just send him Veve comic books all the time, instantly. And that's something that people just can't really process right now, but it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And if they're able to figure out a way to change languages on them through localization, I mean, that's even bigger. That's going to be a game changer, but we'll it's speculative at this point, but I mean, I don't think it's impossible.
I think I feel like so much has gone on and so much information has come out, but obviously not all of it. I forget what is confirmed and what is still not confirmed yet, but I do believe that they could just touch a button and then they could have it translated, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously speculation if that wasn't confirmed yet. If it was confirmed, then clearly.
Well,
but
I will say too, and I do know that for certain comic books, like we tweeted out maybe about a year ago, ASM 300. Yeah, they already have different versions in different languages of that comic. The older comics are probably going to be more difficult because there's a lot more text involved. But more modern comics, they already have those different languages. I mean, like Russian, Spanish, they have those already done. So that's very possible. It's very possible.
That would make sense.
I would say they're definitely thinking about it and trying to figure it out right now. It just makes total sense.
So to your knowledge, we've gone over, like sealed, or we'll go over sealed products, but something I want before we get into that is signatures. Signatures for, let's say, Pokemon cards, depending on who the artist is can either double it. If you're Mitsuyo or Arita, it'll double the value, or if you're like Ken Sugimori, add a 0 to that, and that would be what the value is. But for NFTs, the only ones that I've seen that are signed are really from Autograph.io. I don't know if you've taken a look at them, and how do you feel about autographs on NFTs were, and the reason I bring this up is because nowadays I feel like younger people don't really ask for autographs anymore. They just ask for selfies. And I myself, I don't think I've asked for an autograph in a really long time. Most of them have been selfies. So what's your opinion on that now, and how it'll affect collectibles growing up, considering the younger generation?
I think, especially if you're involved in the collectibles market, people know the significance of signatures. I mean,
Yeah.
you get Todd McFarlane's signature on a collectible, that's a big deal. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. And having the opportunity to do this remotely and potentially, I mean, I don't even have to go there in person. Potentially, I could live in certain parts of the world and I could send my NFT to Todd McFarlane. He could sign it remotely through maybe some type of competition or, agreement that they have with Veve, and then send it back. And what's really cool too about digital signatures, which I really love the idea of it, obviously authentication. They're verified, they're real, they're individualized, but at the same time, you have an opportunity. So these signatures, you can change them, change the location of where they are on an item. So like for comic books, there's right now, if you look up Fantastic 452, a 9.0 or 9.2 graded copy, which is worth I think $20,000. Stan Lee signed over the face of the Black Panther. It's done. It's done. It's heart-wrenching to see. It hurt the value of the comic because of the signature. So these digital signatures, being able to move them to different areas is a big deal.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know why was Stanley like trolling. And he's like,
it's super unfortunate, man. Stan Lee, what I've come to learn, because I actually had a chance to meet him. I have a big Marvel sign and has like 40 signatures now over the past like 3 years. I've had a lot of artists sign it. He was the first person to sign it. And I was at San Jose. It was a Silicon Valley. Yeah, it was really cool, man. It was Silicon Valley Comic Con. And he had pneumonia and he was there and he was sick. He was covered. I took a photo. Everyone said no photos. I'm like, I'm taking a photo of this. And he had a blanket over him and he was signing away. It's an assembly line towards the end of his life. It was an assembly line. Like he put no thought into it. He wasn't engaging in conversation.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, like, wow, Stan Lee, what an awesome guy. He's taking care of people, his fans. But now it was a lot darker than that, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, that's rough. I mean, he's an old man too, especially being sick. It's like, oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Bad times.
Right. He's a cool dude. Yeah, from what I've heard.
So, all right, glad to get your thoughts on the signatures. All right, sealed collectibles. I dabbled in this once in Pokemon. Turned out very well. But I wanted to get into sealed video games because that's something that I saw was kind of growing. Not a whole many people knew about it yet. Unfortunately, I just never got into it because at that point I had gotten mostly out of Pokemon and really just into crypto. What are some of the things that you've seen the most growth in, and what do you think is next? Whether it be video games, VHSs, DVDs.
What should I pull off first? Before, and I'm excited to answer that question, Randy. But do you want to talk about Comixology at all first before we dive into physicals?
Sure.
Yeah. So Comixology is
Tell me that.
So Comixology is pretty much done, and it's super unfortunate. We don't know the exact situation of what's going to happen to everyone's comics that they have in their accounts. Fortunately for Comixology, it was just a monthly thing, but people have been downloading and spend a lot of time getting these comic books. And I think it was Marvel Unlimited as well, where you can buy individual comics. So I think the option was also available at Comixology at one point. So people did potentially could have put a lot of money into this, thinking that this app is going to be around for me to have forever. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And we don't know if this app's going to just disappear or not. But that's why, in my opinion, why these digital NFT comics are a big deal, because it is true ownership. And no matter what people want to say about their opinion about Veve right now, in a closed ecosystem, you can buy them, you can sell them, and you can cash out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
really big. I'm glad you're saying that, because there was a Twitter space the other day where people were saying like, "Oh, immutable X isn't a real blockchain." I was like, "There's no way people are saying this right now. Like, this is ridiculous."
Yeah.
So, but it's good to hear from them.
People are bored, but and I'm excited for trading. I really want, I mean, I know transfers are enabled right now, but they're building the back end right now. It is what it is. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, they continue to get some of the biggest IPs in the world, and Disney's still very happy with them. Marvel too. So
in your opinion, there's so many other platforms right now. And obviously, Autograph.io is one of them with signatures. You have Palm having DC Comics, and then obviously Palm has, they got Hero as well, along with the Batcowl.
oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, so they have a nice little trifecta, and then you have Veve here with our comics and our digital collectibles. Are there any other platforms I'm missing that'll do any type of signatures or in reference to comic books that you see out there that are just outside of our fishbowl that we currently don't see?
I don't know if there's necessarily a system where people can actually attach signatures. Like you can get signature and you can attach it to your NFT. To my knowledge, I don't know of anything like that yet, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Yeah,
it's coming, and I'm pretty sure Autograph.io. They've already have a system, but whether I don't think it's open to the public. I think it's just something for them to use internally. But I'm excited about the future of where all this is going. It's super exciting, and it still doesn't take away from physical signatures. I mean, people still like their physical comic book signed. Yeah, some people don't. It's personal preference, but yeah, that's super cool.
I have a signed Alex Ross photo in here. It's the one where I think Ghost Rider on this side, and it's got like Spidey in the middle, all the other. So I got it at San Diego Comic-Con. It's like a 1 of 400, and it's number 41 too. So
I think I went to the booth with you when you inquired about that. You got it.
Did you? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that felt like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it was yeah, so I got a story.
Cool. You got it.
I got an extra story to tell you about it, but I have to tell you that off. I have to tell you that backstage.
Okay.
It's wild. So I don't know if you've seen not the Marvel MCU, but their Disney Plus shows. Have you seen Marvel's Disney Plus shows concerning like She-Hulk and Moon Knight and stuff like that?
Have I seen She-Hulk or Moon Knight?
Yeah, and Moon Knight, like the Disney Plus shows. Okay, so on every episode of She-Hulk, they had a QR code that you could scan, and you could get like a free Marvel Insider comic. They had it on 1 or 2 episodes of Moon Knight. They're going to have it on Agatha, Coven of Chaos, coming out later this year. And I have this theory. Just let me know if I'm being a moon boy or if this is possible. Because to my knowledge, I don't think Marvel is making any money on giving people free comics. I think that in the future on these Disney Plus shows, that QR code that'll link to Marvel Insider will at some point link to Veve, and you'll have like the Veve app download. Do you think that's possible?
Totally possible. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're sharing. I mean, you and I have both been in New York and San Diego Comic-Con. We saw the Marvel booth. They're sharing the booth with Marvel. I mean, and they're working with Disney. I mean, it's in my opinion, and again, speculation on our end. We have no inside source on this, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable. They haven't started really pushing the Veve brand name outside of Comic-Con events or in-person events. But the most important thing right now is just building out the platform until it's ready to go.
So do you think that, what happens to Marvel Insider if they no longer promote that and then they start promoting Veve comics? I mean, that Veve can't have every comic. That'd be a little ridiculous. But do you think they coexist? Do you think they merge?
Can't they?
I don't know.
Why not?
I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's gonna be a lot of people out there that are still, I mean, technically purists that still or still love their Marvel Unlimited accounts. So, people who will still want just physicals. So, yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a probably swap. But I can see that being an introduction. That'd be a really cool introduction, actually, Randy. That's a really awesome catch on your end. Yeah, that's a good catch.
I love my MCU. I love my Marvel shows, and I'm looking for. I feel like one of those, like, I don't forget their names. They're like Film Theory, where they go and they watch it at like 0.25 speed, like looking for every little thing. That's what I feel like I'm doing. Like, oh, could this be Veve? It's a complete waste of time on my part. So as of today, we have had
Sleeping.
sleeping. We love sleeping. As of
There
today,
you
we've
go.
had
See, he probably.
a big notice for burn comics such as Wolverine #66, New Mutants #1. We've had Marvel Zombies #3, #4, and #45. All of them that were on the store, they're now burned. What do you make of this? What's your interpretation of what's happening and why they
Yeah, I mean,
chose to announce that they're burning physical collectibles and why they decided to not tell us when they're burning the comics?
burn them. I don't really know why they didn't announce the comic books. I will say that the collectibles are probably more significant. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
FA of Daredevil. You know, it was a poster from New York Comic Con as the first poster. So there was definitely a lot of significance to these collectibles compared to these comics. But yeah, I mean, the demand wasn't there, and they're not just going to let it sit there forever. So good for them to burn it and make it more scarce and more valuable in the end. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm
again,
saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't really know if there's really too much deep, you know, is there conspiracy theories surrounding this right now or what's
I mean, I
yeah,
just don't know why they're announcing the collectible burn and then why they're not announcing the comic book burn. Like, I again, by all means, let's, am I Ellie Goulding saying like let him burn? Because it's a great song, and I know it's a weird reference, but it's my inner white girl comes out with that type of music. But yeah, I'm just wondering why the reasoning.
yeah, I mean, if they do it for those comics, they probably would need to do it for all the comics. Um, is there a way to do that? Probably. It might be kind of good to at least do an announcement for anything that they plan to burn internally. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, these comics they're the ones they announced are probably going way under retail. At least the commons were. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's why just do it.
that is, that is a fair
But
point.
yeah,
It came out today that outside of the Batman 2, which is going to be, with the Joker and the Batman, we have a whole host of the reboot of the DCEU. There's going to be a Superman
oh,
movie, Supergirl movie. There's going to be a Swamp Thing movie. Um,
yeah.
do Swamp Thing, he is so OP. How well do you know Swamp Thing?
And not intimately, but I mean, I know it's FA comic, you know, House of Secrets, and you know the value of that, and the value that people put on that. A lot of people consider that a Grail comic in their eyes, and for good reason. And Swamp Thing, I mean, if it's done right, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Especially he announced it's gonna be a horror film, which is really
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
so you like, yeah, like you know what he can do, right? Like he's like, do you know like base with powers? Or is it just like you just kind of like the comic lore that you know the values
I
of and
mean,
stuff?
again, I don't know that character intimately, but if you
Okay.
want to give you a breakdown, let's for the audience, yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so I went kind of deep on it. And so basically he is I don't want to say like a god. He's a god of plants. Like poison ivy has nothing on him. You could eat like one, he's hella strong. Like he's taken punches from Superman. He's held back Superman where Superman wants to do something. And uh Swamp will just wrap him up, be like, nope, not yet. He'll slow him down. You could kill him in this world, in this universe, and his mind, his consciousness is attached to every other Swamp Thing in like every other universe. So you would have to kill the
Whoa.
multiverse to destroy him. Like he cannot be
Oh,
done. That's the only way. Um, he could regenerate from just like a little speck of nothing. It's he's basically he's like a god. He's like a swamp bender, earth bender. He's just it's
cool.
insane. The horror movie will be dope. I can't wait for that. Um,
I,
yeah.
man, I'm so excited for James Gunn and to see what he's gonna do. Man, I remember like last August or July, I tweeted out when is DC just gonna pay James Gunn $2 billion to like just take over the DC universe? And then 3 or 4 months later, it ended up happening. I was really proud of that tweet, mostly selfishly because I wanted to see it happen. I wanted to see it happen so bad because James Gunn he's done a phenomenal job for both Marvel and DC. And come on, they need a leader like that. They need a visionary leader that can take control and create something incredible. And DC, they needed it. They needed it. And in my opinion, they're in great hands. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And honestly, it's going to help the DC comics a lot too.
I hope
tremendously.
so. Again, I've loved him for a while. I kind of did it backwards. I knew him from his brother. His brother Sean Gunn was a character on Gilmore Girls, and I've been watching that for 20 years. It's so good. And I was like, oh, there's brother, he's a director. So that's how Sean Gunn got in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. That's how he's in, a bunch of stuff that he does. And the one thing I'm concerned about is that James Gunn and his partner, they're both CEOs. Like one's not CEO and the other is like CEO. They're both CEOs. That's the only thing I'm thinking like could cause a little rift when they have creative differences. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know enough of their history to make a judgment on that, but I will say that James Gunn was given the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
They probably gave him an opportunity to make all the decisions he wanted. And this is probably a decision that he wanted personally.
Yeah.
So they must be an amazing duo, and he must trust him immensely, both creatively and logistically to make this happen. So yeah, I have total faith in James Gunn. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition and see what happens there.
Cool beans. Okay. So before we'll get into the crypto version of this, but let's back it up to where we were before when we were talking about the sealed product like video games, DVDs, VHS. I don't know if there's been any like beta or Betamax versions of those things. Okay, because I know that's so super rare. What can you tell us about it? To like be Aladdin and show us the world of sealed product.
So we'll start from the beginning. Actually, big shout to a good friend of the podcast, Joe Morelli. Joe, he introduced me to this wonderful guy named Jason Randall. His Twitter account is Up Crypto. I've had him on the podcast a couple of times, him and Joe as well. And he's like, you gotta look into the video game market, man. Have you learned much about this? And I said, not really. Is a video game market? What do you mean? This was like maybe 6 to 12 months ago. And then he started explaining to me, well, yeah, I'm still fairly fresh to this market. But I've learned. I've been diving into this for hours every day. It's become an obsession for both video games and the VHS market.
Yeah.
And to me, when I look at these video games, it's an opportunity to invest in the IP that you love. Very much similar to comic books. And what's special about these video games is that, so for most of the video games now, you can grade them only if they're sealed. So based on the degradation, the quality of the actual sealed case itself, that's where the value lies. And obviously, of course, the IP, the popularity of IP. So in about 10 to 20 years, I think they're going to start cutting down on making physical video games. I think they're going to become a thing of the past. And all these games are going to become more nostalgic. Yeah, less than that. I mean, a good reference I like to use is Grand Theft Auto 5. I think there was about 150 million units sold. I would not be surprised if 80% of those were probably digital. I would not be surprised. I
mean, most of the Nintendo games that I've bought over the last couple years just been digital because, like, I don't want to be responsible for carrying around the little thing. Like, just give them to me in my Nintendo store. Let me do it that way.
And the market was wild when it first took off. It's been going on for the past 25, 30 years because Jason's been involved in the video game market for 20, 25 years, and he's taught me some awesome strategies that we'll dive into soon. But some of the highest sales of all time have exceeded $2 million. And we're talking like high-graded Super Mario 64 is one of the highest selling games. Super high, like perfect grade, like a 98 A++. So here's an example. This is a game that was sentimental to me. This is Grand Theft Auto 3.
It's a good one.
Came out on PlayStation 2. It's a 9.8 A++. So the box grade is a 9.8, and then the seal, the plastic seal around it, is A++. And then it's cool because it has like a little bit of facts on it, and on the back also has some facts. This is graded by WADA, one of like the 3 or 4 grading services out right now. This is interesting. So this game, if you look right here on the right side, there's no silver metallic seal. If it had that, that would mean that it's a first print. So this is not a first print, but the first print sell for a premium. And I just saw a 10.0 grade or 10 grade with a metallic seal, first print, just sold on Heritage for $19,000. And again, this market's so new. We just don't know how many are out there. And that's what makes it a little bit speculative and kind of tough to invest big money into this right now, is because we just don't have the pop reports. We don't know how many of these are out there. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we'll get a really good sign of it. But even now, there's definitely great opportunities. And I'm especially excited about it. And for example, like, for me, my favorite type of investments are low level of entry with big upside. And no matter what people, because there's been a lot of rumors are going around right now about the video game market, how people have been manipulating it. Regardless of what's been going on, if people feel that way, I still very excited about it because I see how it's affecting people and how I personally feel about it. And I just see this. It just makes total sense. And especially when they stop making games altogether, this is all what's going to be left. So even the games that are out right now, like Miles Morales, I know I tweeted out about that. There's a Miles Morales game, and I've been stacking that game for under $20. Yeah. And in 10 years from now, those games are going to become less and less. And then that's it. And that's it. And there's a chance to invest in Miles Morales.
How do they go and manipulate the market? Like, you mean just like cornering it and buying it all up? Or like they have, I have this stack of 20 unopened things. I'm going to.
It really comes down to the high grade sales. That's what sets the ceiling, right? So when and the thing is too, what's kind of crazy is you have like a highest graded sale for $3 million for a video game. That just doesn't just set the ceiling for that individual collectible, but the entire market, the entire video game market, because that's the reference. So when you have a big sale like that, how are people going to view the rest of the market? Well, they'll feel very well. And then you see consistent sales, and there were consistent sales. Like we saw, GoldenEye, a high graded GoldenEye sell for $250,000 or somewhere around $200,000. We saw a Halo, a first Halo game on Xbox, $100,000. We're seeing a lot of these sales. So, I personally think that whether those sales happened, Basically, what I'm trying to say is I believe the future of this market, regardless of what people are speculating right now.
It seems like the games that you've been mentioning, like GoldenEye, Halo, Mario 64, are all like super beloved, super nostalgia games. Like, is there a market, and how big is it for games that this is a crap game? Like for games that maybe there weren't a lot of and they're scarce, but.
Totally. Yeah. Scarcity totally comes into play. And even Jason shows me examples of that. Games I've never heard of. He said, I bought this game, and this is what Jason's taught me, this amazing strategy. It comes in cycles. Video games come in cycles. A video game comes out. Here's a perfect example. I recently bought this. So Mortal Kombat number 11. So I grew up playing Mortal Kombat. This is rated one of the best games. Yeah, this is rated by IGN as one of the best, if not the best, Mortal Kombat game in history. And this game, when it came out originally, it was $60. But then after a year, it dips because they have clearance sales. And then it dips about half. And then it dips half of that. And now you can get it for around, I got this one for $8. For $8. Yeah. So really big IP, under $20 is my level of entry. So that way it's a low risk, high reward situation. Some other examples. I've been stacking these two. Madden 2021. I've been getting these for $5. I got 4 of these for $5 each at Best Buy. I was just in a Best Buy and I was like, oh, okay. Madden's a little bit tougher because you have the same game released every year. It's not incredibly individualized. So that might be a little bit of a tougher turnaround. But
I feel like Madden might be harder as well because there are players on the front. And God forbid, let's say the player happens to get caught up with abusing their spouse or getting caught up with drugs. I don't know if that would decrease the value of it.
Oh, 100%. Like the whole Justin Roiland thing going on right now. My first comic book that I ever bought was a Justin Roiland sketch. I'm just trying to ditch it at this point. I don't even want that in my collection. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I wonder, I've just heard about that, and I've been going on TikTok every day, tagging Adult Swim, like, oh, I'm your new Rick Sanchez. Hire me, motherfucker. But I don't know, if that was true or if it was just an accusation. I didn't look into it. Does it seem
I don't want to pivot the topic, but there's definitely things that are coming out. But also there was an animated video that he made about 10 years ago that just kind of killed me inside. And it's hard to turn back from after seeing that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to pivot the conversation, but
That's fair.
But here's another game that high IP got it for $5.
Yeah.
$5 seal. Why not? So
All the great games. Do you have a
all the
Halo
great
3?
I
A
don't,
Halo.
but that's definitely on eBay. You can get that. You can get that on eBay.
I
Yeah,
feel like because Halo 3 I feel like was the best one, and
yeah.
I don't know if that were to matter or if like Halo 1 is scarcer. Nice.
This is my child. Yeah. Unfortunately, the PlayStation games are super expensive. So I was able to snag this one off of I think Golden Auctions. But yeah, this is my I love this.
I remember playing. I think it was the first one. Me and my friend Justin were so stupid. You could hook up the Dreamcast and the N64 to your TV at the same time, and he tried, and it would go back and forth, like maybe like 4 times a second. So he was playing Tony Hawk 1 on the Dreamcast, and I was playing Super Smash Brothers on the N64. We definitely permanently damaged our eyes because of that flashing back and forth. It was nuts, but yeah, great times.
And that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I mean, how many people? I mean, let's say, for example, on Veve right now, how many people have actually read these comic books that they're investing in? Probably not many, and that's not okay. That's okay. I'm not saying that's bad. I know a lot of people who invest in graded comic books, and you can't read them because it's graded. So, but they understand the characters because of the MCU. They understand the IP, so they're investing in their FAs because they love the characters and they understand the value. And that's where I see with these video games. But the difference is these video games, people played them, people loved them, and also with these video games, you buy it to open it. They were expensive. They were $60 to $100 even back in the 80s. So you buy it to open it. You don't buy it to keep it in your closet sealed as an investment. That didn't happen very often. I wouldn't be surprised if there are not many of these left because of that reason. Because a comic book, you can buy a comic book, you can read it, enjoy it, and if you keep it safe somewhere in your closet, you could get a potential, good ROI if it's a significant comic and a high grade. But video games, no, you open it, it's done. It's done. So I think that's another reason why I'm very excited about in the next couple of years as these video games market takes off, and we're going to see it become more significant.
It's a good point. It's a good call. I had such a good question I was going to ask you. I completely forget what it was. I hate it when that happens. Yeah. Oh man, that's good. That's going to annoy me for like the rest of the rest of the time we're here together. But yeah, you have a lot of people.
Was it your video game collection or was it?
I don't think it was a video game. I think it was maybe after that. You're talking about how. Oh, all right. Here's what it was. You're right. A lot of people probably haven't read the comic books, and I remember telling people, whether it's on the app or on Twitter, is like, especially like I think it was the X-Men Christmas or the Marvel Christmas one, the edition that we had like last month. I was like, guys, spend the $2, spend the 2 gems, and go buy that comic and go read it, because it was all these stories about what the X-Men and what like Deadpool and everyone do like on Christmas, and it like wrapped it up nice bow at the end. Like it was fun to read, and
yeah,
I love comics. I'm gonna say like this century, like 2000s, like and post that. A lot of the comics that I've tried to get into, and I know I'm gonna get hate for this, and you can slap me across the internet. They don't keep my attention. I feel like they're not as good, and I get a lot of them are timepieces, which are cool, but it's like I just can't get into them. How does that make you feel? Am I losing your respect for having said that? Because I like some of the comics that are more recent as opposed to the historical ones. I haven't read a lot of the Key Grail comics. How are they story wise?
I mean, they're dated. But they're nostalgic. It's nostalgic, and it's just kind of cool to see it. I come at it more of like a historical value. I'm learning about this is some of the first ever, and it's really special to be a part of that experience and actually read it. It's really cool. But you'll see a massive difference. You read FF1 compared to, modern age comic. Oh my goodness, stylistically, it's everything is so different. The evolution over 40 years.
I remember one where it was, I think it was like from the 60s or whatever, where Captain America is having a hard time with like something, like feeling down on himself. And back in the day, uh, getting a good talking to was known as getting dick. So Iron Man says to Captain America, "Sounds like you need some solid dick from the Iron Man." And then Captain America's like, "Maybe I do, metalhead." And I was like, "What is this?"
It sounds like we didn't make that t-shirt out of that.
So Sleeping loves Real House of X and Powers of
Yeah,
X.
yeah.
Amazing. What's your favorite comic run, like the comic series? Whether it's Civil War or Civil War Two or the Secret Wars.
Yeah.
What's your
I
favorite?
mean, I mean, probably Secret Wars is definitely up there for sure. It was definitely up
My
there.
man.
Yeah, really up there. But one I've really been obsessed with recently is Something is Killing the Children. I've been super obsessed with that series. Yeah,
Oh, I've heard of that. Tell me about that. What is that?
yeah, that's a really dark series. It's basically I consider it like a rated R Stranger Things, like a hard
Mhm.
R Stranger Things, because it's going to become a show on Netflix. Well, apparently they just lost the showrunner, so I don't know what's going on anymore. But
Oh, all right.
so it's from a company called Boom Studios, and they
Yeah.
actually made the Berserker comic with Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
So they're going to turn that into a film and also an anime on Netflix as well. But they probably invested a lot of money into Boom Studios because they basically signed a big contract that gave them access to all of their IP. So, and they have a lot of awesome comics. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Chaos mentioned Jonathan Hickman. I was like, oh, my man,
Yeah.
my
I yeah. Nice. I have a couple issues of the Jonathan Hickman, the first issue of Secret Wars. I was looking to get before the announcement. Yeah. One was signed too. It was pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
that's amazing.
Here's
One of
some
the best. Oh, love him.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so. What are you most excited to see for Secret Wars in the MCU? Is it just like I don't want to give any spoilers. Is it
Yeah.
the return of some characters? Is it a ship full of a certain character? Is it the introduction of a certain character? Like what's some of your big things that you want to see?
I'm really excited for the introduction of a lot of characters that are involved in that and just see just the absolute insanity that's going to come of it. Um,
Yeah.
Kane the Conqueror is going to set up quite the mess. It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
I'm
Can't
particularly
wait.
very excited for Doctor Doom as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to the Something's Killing the Children. I did a video on this. I bought 1,000 copies of the cover A, 1,000 copies, and I did that specifically because I wanted to stack liquidity. And to
Yeah.
do that, when I bought 1,000 copies from this, I'd pre-ordered them. I didn't realize how many total editions there are going to be. There's a lot. There's like 400,000.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
the cover A is going to take a little time. But what's really cool is that I got all the variants for free because I paid
Oh
for all the
nice.
cover A's. So yeah, so like the 20 to ones, the 50 to ones, the 100 to ones, 200 to ones, 500 to ones, 1,000 to ones. So the 1,000 to one, there's only about 400 of these issues. This is it. And I have it signed by Tynan and the
Oh, that's dope. How
yeah.
many of those are graded 9.8 that are signed? I don't know
I
if they
think
have a
there's
copy
like
for it.
maybe 10. But
Nice.
yeah, but I got this comic for free. So I knew at the very worst case scenario, I could at least sell the variants and probably make my money back and keep the cover A's.
No.
So that's stuff you got to think about, right? For me, I think about, and that was a high level of entry, but I got a lot back from it. And that's why I knew my investment was relatively safe for that reason. I can get this graded and probably make, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 off this one alone. So that's something you got to think about. You know, low level of entry with big upside. That's how I like to go about my investments. And you know, really, honestly, I like to sell. If I sell something, I just reinvest into more collectibles. That's really that's really what I do. You know, it's not because I have less conviction about something. You know, like I recently sold one of my wall statues, but it's because I wanted to buy other stuff, and I didn't really think about the importance of liquidity until I met Jason, because you know I was all about low mint secret rares, and myself and Spencer were going hard on low mint secret rares, and I was like, oh, that's it, huh? So you know that's the fun debate now. It's like, would you rather have one SR or like you know X amount of commons, because then you have liquidity, and that's an important debate. There's no right or wrong answer, but I guess it really comes down to you know your own game plan.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you about. What what is your greatest flip? What is the one thing that you bought down here, sold up there, that you were just like, yeah, man, king?
You know, it's I'm not I was never really a flipper until recently, and I've come to learn like it's okay to be a flipper. I know it's such a has such a negative term in the VV community, but there's nothing wrong with flipping. Some of the biggest
Yeah,
collectors that I know are flippers, and they're amazing flippers, and they are incredibly successful at it. But they use that liquidity, that money, to buy collectibles that they want. They get it for free because they know the
yeah,
market and they're able to make solid moves. So some of the biggest moves I've made, some comic books I've sold in the past definitely worked out really well in my favor, and I sold when the market was really hot, so I sold at the right time. But recently, I made some moves for sports cards, and big shout to my boy Will with the NFTs. He helped me. He does the sports card market really well. And when Brock Purdy came in as a 49ers quarterback, I mean, he was doing things that no one's ever done, and it's crazy. His cards back in November, early December, there wasn't a lot of them. I mean, there's just a few of them out because he was literally Mr. Irrelevant, the last person in the draft. So they didn't really have a lot of his cards. They didn't have many one of ones but they had limited signed versions of his card. And there's like one of 200, a one of 50, a one of 35 on a couple different card platforms. But I bought a couple, and these cards back in late November, early December, are going for 40, $50. Fast forward to mid-January, $3,000.
well,
And I'm talking raw. I'm not even talking graded. Raw. Yeah. People 100x off their investment. It's crazy. So about, like four weeks ago, I started kind of diving into a little bit, and I came in late, but not too late. And I was able to flip them and make a pretty solid ROI from it. So, and now I'm putting that back into collectibles. Yeah. Yeah. But actually I've been buying some, yeah. Yeah. Excellent. But that's the thing, right? It's for me, it's not about having less conviction about certain stuff. Like, I'm very excited for Brock Purdy's future. I just know that the market was inflated. I recognized it, and I was comparing his rookie cards to other players' rookie cards, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This is way too inflated. This is the red ocean right now, way too hot. And I sold, and now he unfortunately was injured in the NFC Championship game. He didn't get a chance to prove himself in that game, and the cards have gone down pretty significantly. I still believe in them long term, but they flatlined, or they've dipped down pretty hard because of that. Because people were expecting to go to the Super Bowl and stuff. But anyways, now I'm using that liquidity to buy other collectibles, which I'm super pumped about. Like especially the VHS market, which we haven't really dived into, and very similarly to the video game market. We're starting to see VHS tapes, sealed VHS tapes being graded, and DVDs, VHS tapes, betas, all this stuff, man. This is all going to disappear, and this is all what's left.
They're going to stop. I mean, back in the day, they only used to. Do you remember the Disney Vault, where like they would release "Get the Lion King" at stores now, only for the next 2 weeks, and then it goes back in the Disney Vault, and you could just never find them again. My aunt used to be really, really hectic into that. Have you seen those be super, like Disney be super scarce, or would it make more sense to be like, well, this Jeepers Creepers nobody really got on tape, so that one's
people have talked about the diamond collection for Disney, but there were a lot of them, and I do think, and they're also in a clamshell case, which makes it really hard to find high graded versions of the VHS tapes. I think they're going to do great, but I haven't seen ridiculous sales for them yet. But again, time will tell. Those are some of the most famous films of all time. So if you have an opportunity to invest in them at low level of entry, it's probably not a bad idea. I mean, good trivia question. The Lion King is actually the highest selling VHS tape of all time.
Oh, what did it go for?
How many sold?
Oh, what did it go for? How much?
Oh, no, sorry, not value. I'm saying total editions. Yeah, total editions.
Gotcha.
It was the highest selling of all time. The highest VHS tape was actually a Back to the Future tape for $75,000 last year, and then that was beaten by a Star Wars tape. That
makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm seeing like $30,000 sales, $20,000 sales consistently. It's pretty wild.
I don't know who made this, but I saw it on TikTok, and then I saw it on YouTube. Somebody made a really good trailer. It was a fan-made teaser trailer for Back to the Future 4. and I was
Oh, I
like,
saw that.
oh.
Yeah, that's cool.
I thought it was real,
By
and I was like, no,
dude,
no way.
by the
That
way,
blew me off.
Randy, you got to go see Back to the Future the musical in New York when it comes there. I know it's on its way. It's going to come there this year. It's
Okay.
amazing. I saw it in London. It started in London, so I went and visited Danny for his wedding. I went to London. I saw
Yeah.
the play. Awesome. It's a little
Uh,
different, but it's so much fun. It's a blast,
Okay.
dude.
I'll
Yeah,
take a look at it. That does sound fun. I used to love those
definitely.
movies. Those
You're
were great.
gonna love it, man. It's so worth it. But here's one that we got recently. So this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, and it's graded by VGA. Big shout out to Collectibles Grading Authority. Awesome guys over there. They graded this. So this what's really cool about this is when you know it's a first print when it has a Pizza Hut logo sticker on it.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's a first print. So this is a first print of one of my favorite films of all time. Something that I've been actually here's another one. Here's a first print of Batman because you have the
Oh,
watermarks across. You have the watermarks across there.
if I could ask, how much is that, and how many of those are there? That
This one in this grade, I got it for I think 250 or 300, I believe.
okay.
But again,
All right.
you can get them on the market, but you got to be careful. Again, everyone out there, you got to be careful. Just don't go out and start buying stuff, doing research because these watermarks are very important. You need to know what you're buying into. You need to know if it's a first print or not, and also the condition of the VHS tape itself. So it's a risk. You got to just make sure you know what you're buying into before you do. Something that I've been speculating very hard on. Well, actually, wait, before I do that, I've also been stacking these. The Matrix
Ooh, the
sealed
DVDs.
DVDs. Yeah, but these are all first prints.
No.
And the reason why you know it's a first print because on the back right here, it says 1999 and 1999. As that's when you know it's a first print. Whereas 1999 and 2001 are the second prints, probably second or third prints. But
Okay.
to my knowledge, these are the first prints. So I've been buying these for $5 to $10 a piece. I have about 20
Nice.
of them now, and I'm gonna keep buying them because I don't think there's any DVD, that public sale DVD, that's more significant than the Matrix, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was really good.
Humble opinion. Humble opinion.
I would say maybe because at the time, I think Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I think the first one you had the option to buy both. I don't know if they had the option for the second one. So they probably made a bit less of the DVDs for Lord of the Rings.
Great
I don't know
transition.
how they what?
Great transition.
Yeah. Wait, is that a VHS or DVD?
Okay, so this is a market that I've been very excited about, myself and Spencer and also Kevin. We're speculating very hard into the sealed screening market. So sealed screeners. They had different types of screeners that were not for sale. So you had promotional screeners that were given for industry leaders to just review the movie before either purchasing or buying, some of the VHS tapes. And also you have Academy screeners or award screeners. So for example, the Academy currently has just under 10,000 Academy members. And each Academy member was given a DVD, well, a VHS at the time, a VHS, and then it was a DVD and then Blu-ray, and because the medium has changed over time. But they were each given one. And most of them opened them or probably just discarded them. They didn't keep them. So we look at these as incredibly rare variants that glorified the film's most significant moment in his career. And I was fortunate enough to get this one. It's Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, a 4-year consideration. And on the back, you can see the credits. So it'll say like best director, best actor, best supporting actor, best supporting actress, adapted screenplay.
That's so cool.
And and it's still sealed. And I actually just picked up another one on eBay today. I sniped the shit out of it. Like, mine.
How much do those go for? The
The one I got today. Yeah, the one I got today I got for $175, which I was very happy about.
Nice.
Yeah. Here's one. It's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, sweet. I love those. I love those movies.
Yeah, me too. And this one I consider a personal grail is The Matrix.
Yeah.
It's still sealed. On the back you see it says best picture, best actor.
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see your house in a few years after collectibles and Omi goes up and you have like a 6-room mansion and 2 of them are dedicated to your to those.
And here's the craziest part is that over the years, things have changed. The mediums have changed.
Yeah.
So they stopped going from VHS tapes to now DVDs. So here's one for the Joker. It's a 4-year consideration for the Joker.
Oh,
And this is it's still sealed.
well.
But you can get these graded. Here's another one for Dear Basketball, which was an Academy Award winning short film by Kobe Bryant.
Oh. Okay, so yeah, that's
and Glenn Keane is a Disney legend. And the composer for this short film was John Williams, who did Star Wars, Jaws. Yeah. They had the best work on this short, but it won an Academy Award. And I was able to get 3 of these copies, so I'm going to get them graded eventually. But it crosses over. It crosses over different mediums. You have here's an example of a cassette tape. And oh, by the way, so this is where I get really excited, because people who doubt this market, fine. You want to doubt the market, sure. But here's what you really need to look at. What companies are getting involved in these markets? So for VHS market, it started off with one. You had VGA, and now you have IGS. Now Beckett is getting involved in it. They've already established themselves, and now there's rumors that CGC is getting involved in it. And CGC is already involved in grading video games. They just started that. So you're seeing these companies, they're spending their time and their resources because they know there's big potential here. And when you start, it's just like Web3, Facebook changing to Meta. You're seeing companies spending billions of dollars on this industry because they know this is the future. And that's where I get excited with things I'm getting involved in. I know it brings validation. But now, and Jason and Joe have talked about this for a while. They're not just going to grade VHS tapes. They're not just going to grade video games, but we're going to start seeing vinyls. We're going to start seeing cassette tapes, CDs. We're going to start seeing all these different mediums be graded. And here's another one I'm excited about. It's a 4-year consideration of Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I was able to get through it, and it's still sealed. Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's in a cassette tape, because that came out in the 90s, right? I feel like there weren't
95.
too many cassettes left in the 90s. Yeah. I feel like that's like
that was a good, I think like probably early 2000s is when it kind of dipped out.
Yeah.
But here's
what's Sun? Oh wait, Spider. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Spider-Verse still sealed.
Pump for that second one.
This one, Coco. I've been stacking these.
Yeah. Those are pretty good. Yeah. Do you have one for Encanto?
No, I don't. I've been trying to find one for Encanto because I'm man. Yeah, it's
same.
Yeah.
I love those as well.
The music for that is so good. But what's really exciting too about this, and I see it's coming. It's going to come. First appearances are going to be really, really significant on all mediums. We're going to start seeing on video games, like first appearance of Mario, first appearance of Yoshi. We're going to see these on the labels. We're going to see first appearance of actors in films, first appearance of directors. Like here's an example. First appearance of Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie. You know what movie that is? Critters
is that
3.
the one? Which one?
Critters 3. Critters 3. It was some B horror film from exactly. Nobody gives a shit
How
about
old
that movie.
Was he in that?
He was like probably 9,
8?
10, 11, so maybe
okay.
maybe 8. And that film, it's hard to find. And people, if you go look at recent prices for that thing, people are paying premiums because it was Leo's first appearance in a movie. And I think that's going to be a big deal because it also creates value to that movie, right? Because of that FA. But now that's when my head starts. It scares, and that's when my head starts turning. Okay, what about big actors but big films? Like maybe there were some actors, their first film, they won Academy Awards. There's definitely some actors out there that have done that. But one actor specifically, I was like, oh, I'm interested. Tom Holland. Like Tom Holland's becoming one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now. What was his first film? And it blew my mind. He did like a voiceover for some animated film, but he's a supporting character. I don't think they're going to count that because it's live action. They're going to count. But his first live action performance was in the movie, the Academy Award nominated film, The Impossible. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's about the tsunami. And about the tsunamis.
In 06?
In 04.
04, okay. Good.
In Thailand. Yeah, it starred Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts, and it was an awesome movie, and it was his first film, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. Okay, so and then I'm looking online, and I wonder if I found a for your consideration screener of Still Sealed of The Impossible, and you see right there,
Oh, that's
best
great.
actor Tom Holland. So I'm waiting for the FA stamps, and when that does happen, I'll send this in and get it graded, and it'll get an FA stamp on it for its
So
Academy
this has
Awards.
me thinking, like, wait, and this isn't the big screen. This is like TV, and I was, we're talking about Batman before, we're talking about Joker 2. Lady Gaga is going to be in Joker 2, and Lady Gaga, I feel like, at least was pretty decent in that remake. What was that movie where she's with Bradley Cooper?
Yeah,
In
Stars
this,
Born.
yeah,
I
Star
love.
Wars.
I adore her in every way. So yeah,
Oh,
you're preaching to the choir if you're a fan.
that was
I love Lady
actually my
Gaga.
favorite.
It's a
It
good film.
was Alejandro was my favorite song to dance to when I was dancing. That was,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, that and Bad Romance, because I actually knew the dance to that. Anyway, I know you got to go really soon.
No,
But
no,
for
no. Actually, so go ahead. Go ahead. Apologize.
oh, okay. So yeah, this is Lady Gaga in the new Joker, because she's gonna play Harley Quinn.
Oh
And
wow, she looks awesome.
there was, I bring her up because I think she's a great actress. I think she'll do amazing things later on. But there was an episode of some TV show on MTV where it's Stephanie Germanotta, like her real name, at a restaurant, and she was like getting super pissed off. Like the show was to like piss people off, and of course they did. And I don't
Yeah.
remember the name of that show, but do you think that would count if you have like a movie star in their first appearance on like TV before they were famous, before they knew?
I don't. I think the first, the way I look at it is it has to be a live action film, unless I mean I guess maybe animated films could count if they had a strong enough role. But I think
No.
in my opinion, it has to be a film, and it needs to be a solid character, not like a support. It can be a supporting character, but just has a name. It can't
Yeah.
be say it can't
Okay.
say something like you know someone's friend or off person. Can't it actually has
Yeah.
a name and as
Okay.
an actual character in the film. That's how I view it.
Okay.
Speaking of which, by the way, I was actually going to make a bid for these. Now, I don't know if you're able to pull up this link. I just sent it over to you.
For your consideration. Okay, let's see what we got
So
here.
these are for your
Hello, Lady Gaga.
consideration tapes of like 10 films, including Collateral, $1 Million Baby, Little Miss
Ooh.
Sunshine. Yeah, some really good films.
Oh, 3 minutes left.
Yeah, 3 minutes
Wait,
left.
so
I'm gonna bid on.
are you going for it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, I was gonna do it live on the channel and see what happens.
Okay, you go for it. I was good. Well, I mean, yeah, I was saying. Oh god, hiccups. Yeah, I love $1 Million Baby. That was dope.
That's such a good film.
Yeah.
I've never watched a
Clint
movie
Eastwood.
I've never watched a movie that ripped my heart out like that ever in my life. Like
Oh really?
the highest high, and you just crash and burn. The highest high, and you just crash and burn.
I feel like there's definitely a couple that I've seen that are. Oh no, the biggest one I think was The Mist or The Fog. I think it was The Mist. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah. Oh, the ending. Actually, here's a cool story about that.
That
Frank
hurt me
Darabont,
more.
yeah.
Okay.
So Frank Darabont, he said that he came up with that ending. In the original, it's based on a short film by Stephen King. And he came to Stephen King with that revised ending. And I mean, you don't do that. Stephen King, I mean, his endings are always epic. And he came to him and said, I have an idea. Are you open to me changing this? And Frank Darabont, I mean, he did Shawshank Redemption. He did Green Mile. So him and Stephen King have a rapport. And Stephen King said to him, if I would have thought of that ending, I would have put it in my short story.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So
I'll tell you,
guys,
yeah.
I was like, click away for the next 20 seconds while I spoil this movie.
We'll talk about it after. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay,
but
all
yeah,
right. Disregard, guys. You don't have to click
you gotta
away.
see The Mist. It is so good. It is so good. It's such a good movie. Yeah. I'm so happy that you appreciate that movie, Randy.
Because that one ripped my heart out. That one was like.
That's another great example, dude. Yeah, that's another great example. Oh man, But see, and this is another
Yeah.
reason why I believe in this sealed VHS market, sealed DVD market, because again, you buy these things to play them. There are still some out there, but I think this market is going to catch on in a big way, and people are going to really, it's really, people are getting excited about it and have a chance to invest in their favorite films. It's going to be, it's
Were there
exciting.
any VHS tapes of The Ring? Because I had it on DVD,
I'm
but
sure.
they
Yeah,
might.
2001. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure there were.
yeah. Did that? I feel like I would want that because The Ring. That,
That was great. Yeah, that was great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. So like I guess oh, my hip. You got 55 seconds on this left on this auction. I'm rooting for you. Um,
Are you able to show show the screen on your?
oh
If you
yeah,
click the
sure.
link.
Yeah, I got the.
All
I
right.
don't have a computer, so it's off my tablet's over there. I'd have to
Oh,
like go away,
oh, you know
but
what?
I'll
I
show
think
it.
I can.
You could probably share the link, on your tablet if it's on your computer. You just
Yeah.
have to go on, and then you could share your screen, I think, and then I can bring it up. But be advised, you have 21 seconds left. Ooh, community workshop. Okay, that's interesting.
13,
But
12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
oh, 16.
2, 1. And that's how you
So
snipe good deals. That's how
it
you
ended
snipe
at
good deals.
1650. Is that what you got?
That, yeah.
Okay,
I,
all right.
I believe so.
Yeah,
So what
that's
I did there, guys, that's a perfect example of, yeah, incredible. So I just paid $20 for 7 Academy screeners sealed. And some of the films I haven't heard of, but Before Sunset, I've definitely heard. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Miss
yeah,
Sunshine, Collateral, which I actually just watched the other day. I like that movie, and The $1 Million Baby, which won Best Picture that year and Best
yeah,
Actor. But that's a good example. Low level of entry with big upside.
yeah. Like, because the what, $2 a movie that you're getting? Like, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they're
It's
worth it in general just for that.
I mean, just to I mean, as a collector, I'm excited to own those. And if there's
Yeah,
upside and potential, potential
I'm sure.
opportunity to sell them too, great. But at the end of the day, it's a low level of entry, low risk, but solid upside in my opinion. So
Yeah, a
very
lot
cool.
of
Very
these I think are pretty good movies. I mean, the ones that I've heard of. The other ones I don't think I've seen Before Sunset or Birth, but a lot of the
so
other ones are.
that was Richard Linklater, Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. It's with Ethan Hawke, and it's a beautiful story about two people in love. And Richard Linklater did Dazed and Confused. I don't know if you've seen Dazed and Confused. It's
So I know it's a classic. I haven't though.
oh, dude, Randy, you're gonna love that movie. It's one of the best hangout films of all time, and it's super
Okay.
fun because I showed my dad. So my dad, it takes place in 1976 Texas, and it's actually I believe it's Matthew McConaughey's first film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Love him.
and I mean, there's a lot of big names in it. You'll recognize a lot of people in it, and takes place in 1976 Texas. My dad graduated in '76 in the Bay Area. So I
Oh,
told him, I said, "Yeah,
legit.
we gotta watch this movie, pops." And he watches. He's just the whole time he's just laughing, like, "This is exactly what my high school was like." But it's such a fun movie, man. And Richard Linklater, he also did 13. Wait, no, was it 13 years or 13? It's a movie that took place. They filmed it over 13 years.
Oh, jeez.
It's incredible. It was nominated for like 7 or 8 Oscars. Yeah,
I hope
but
so.
it's
It takes 13 years to finish a freaking movie.
yeah.
Jesus.
And you see the progress of the age change with Ethan Hawke. It's crazy, dude. Like none of
Oh,
it's all practical. You see, and also the time, the events that are happening in that time. They talk about like, oh, the iPhone just came out, or like there's a war in Iraq, and then it cuts to like 5 or 6 years later, and they talk about what's happening in the world. It's crazy
oh,
movie. It's really, yeah, it's what an achievement. And they filmed it on film, so that's why they're able to keep the continuity because they filmed on film. So the style,
that
I
is
mean,
really
the quality,
interesting.
it didn't change. Yeah, remarkable, remarkable.
Yeah. So was that on Netflix or was that on? I just do it on YouTube, I guess, right?
Um,
Just buy it on, and YouTube's like $3 to buy a movie usually.
yeah,
Yeah.
13. It's called 13. Richard Linklater.
Spelt out, or is it just 1 3 numerals?
Uh, Wait, is it 13? No, 13 is a different movie. That's a different one. Oh, Boyhood. I'm so sorry, guys. Boyhood. It's called Boyhood. Not 13 is a way different film.
What is 13? I feel like when I think 13, I think the free or the $13 tattoos you get on Friday the 13th.
It's a story about girls coming of age, and
I would have gone.
It's a way different story.
Prepared for Ethan Hawke. What the fudge is this?
Yeah.
Good times. All right, so before we get ready to bounce, I have I don't know how much of your portfolio is in OMI or Mutable X, but there's something. Mutable Passport was just announced, and they just tweeted about it, and they have Immutable and Gods Unchained both followed Ubisoft, and it's Immutable X was up 16% on the news. That was about an hour ago, though. Do you have any Immutable X?
I don't, no, but I definitely have a lot of OMI.
Good.
I mean, not ready to Chavez OMI, but you know, pretty.
It was. It's a little crazy to get, and I don't regret it, but this is the last time I'm ever going all in on one thing again. I don't think I'll ever put more than like 10% of my net worth in any one thing after this. This is a lot.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. You know, that's something I've been kind of learning too, is trying to balance out a portfolio a little bit. Trying to balance it a bit more, but I'm very excited for the future of OMI, Randy. Like very excited for the future of OMI.
There's a lot of.
What's up, buddy? Hey.
Yeah, my man. It's exciting. There's a lot of big building team this year. We'll definitely have some MCP and OUP rolled out, hopefully by the first half of the year, but definitely before the end. And the account merge is going on.
I'm literally gonna do that later tonight when I get back from dinner. Hey, Veve Magic. Hey, my friend.
There's a girl.
If anybody has any questions at all about the things we've talked about, I'm happy to answer any questions, by the way, if anybody wants to ask.
Oh, yeah. Somebody was asking you about, do you collect any of the Disney 100 cover comics?
So those are cool. I've been talking to Veve Magic about those. Those are cool covers, and they're actually kind of hard to find. I've gone to a couple of comic shops, and the ones that have originally released are already gone. So if you have a chance to get one or two, why not? I mean, they're cool covers. I mean, just as a collector, they're fun to own. But yeah, they definitely have potential to do well. I don't know how many total editions. That's the only thing I don't really know much about. I need to look into that more. But if it's less than 100,000, yeah, that's solid.
Cool. I am people saying we should get graded Mario Bros games. I love Mario and all Nintendo, so clearly, but
those are the grails, because those are the first biggest IP ever, right? And the cool thing about Nintendo, and by the way, Nintendo is probably the best selling system. It goes Nintendo and then PlayStation, and then Xbox does pretty well, but doesn't have as much history, so it's still kind of newer. But the original IP, individual games like Halo, Gears of War, those crush. Like those games crush. Aw, hi friend.
Yeah, Gears of War is so good.
But yeah, there's no safer. Yeah.
You were, you showed me Battlefield before. I was like, oh yes, and then GTA. I was like, oh, I got all the good stuff. We'll do a end here because I do want to talk to you off camera a bit. But what's the what's something that you want to end with? What's something you want to, whether it's a message or whether it's a topic or anything?
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting markets out there, guys. Things that you will be really excited about. And Veve, I'm incredibly excited about Veve, and I have a lot of things on Veve, and I continue to buy on Veve. But there are other really cool markets that are emerging, and there's great opportunities, in my opinion, not financial advice, to get involved in. So again, my favorite investments are low level of entry with big upside. So yeah, there's a great opportunity out there, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
I love this game. Thank you so much for coming on. This is a great
Randy,
time.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, dude, I love you, man. All right, let's everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye, Dashi. And then we'll catch y'all later. Go subscribe to Sean or Comics and Crypto. Bye. And we're doing an end.